What's up, guys? It's Fix It Daniel, and today we're going to be on our bike replacing hose clamps. So let's go and show you guys how we're going to get into it. Welcome. Thank you guys for watching. So today we are going to be on our 2009 Kawasaki Concours 1400. We're going to be replacing the radiator clips. We had some leaking on them, and we're going to go show you guys how we're going to be doing it. So guys, we're going to be replacing a couple of closed radiator clamps. Not all of them, just this one right here. This one's been giving us most of the issue. It keeps leaking up in here. If you've seen in some of my other videos, it just kind of keeps leaking on the floor, and I keep trying everything. I think what we're going to do is we're just drain all the coolant out, maybe see if there's any crusties up under here that's not allowing it, and we're going to replace it with a brand new clamp. I did try, this has been replaced before. I did try to do it without getting it off, but I think it's just going to be more better to replace it proper way, with we're just getting it completely off, sliding it on there, and clamping it back down. We do need to check and make sure that there's no crystallizings up under it that's not allowing it to seal. Maybe it's cracked, who knows. We just need to figure out why does it keep leaking from here. But there's also another area that I did not realize until I got all this fairing stuff off, and it's on the other side here. This is the, I guess you say the right side of the bike. So we got another radiator hose going right here, and it kind of trickles all the way down, and it goes right into here. Now I believe this is like the some kind of a cap that's going into the motor and allowing it to come out. So the issue we're having is that it was leaking here. It was actually leaking all the way down in here and then coming out and going, I'm actually on here on the floor. It didn't actually get to the floor. It just kind of creviced right in this bezel here. So here, let me show you. So it kind of like leaked in this little gully, just a little bit. It was a little bit saturated, and I didn't notice it until I took the cover fairings off. When I got all these fairings off, I noticed that this one has some crusties a little bit around it, but it wasn't leaking. So I looked here, it was not leaking here. So I couldn't figure it out until I got the whole entire cover off, and then I noticed this gully was wet. But then when I looked up under, it was actually dripping a little bit of coolant. So we got to tighten, but I think we're going to replace it anyway too if we can, because it was protruding out a little bit after I ran it. So usually what I do is after I get all these clamped down, I'll run it, get it up to temp, then let it cool and see if it seeps out. If it continues to seep out, then we got an issue of it not staying kind of tight. Now these hoses could be old. They might need to be replaced. That is another possibility of why they're not staying sealed. But it also may be these clamps too. These clamps have probably been on there for so long, they're probably losing their grip a little bit and allowing a little bit of fluid to come out. That's not a big issue thing. It's not leaking internally. It's not leaking anyplace else, which is a good thing. Very simply, easily, something that can be easily fixed. But I don't think we can do it with us under pressure. So all the fluid's running everywhere it needs to go. I think the really best way of getting either the clamps on right and making sure there's no crusties in here is by just letting all the fluid out, and then we'll top it back off. Here's the cap right here. There's plenty of room to get down there to it. We should be fine to refilling it back. So we're going to get a drain pan. We're going to drain it on the left side of the motor because it's really easier to get up under here with everything. We could do it here too, but I'm going to do it on that side and maybe this side just to get all the fluid out. So that way when we take these off and the other side, there's no fluid coming out. So we're going to go ahead and start doing it. Before we drain the coolant on the other side, I want to take some of the pressure off. So we're going to take this cap off. So that way it's going to leak out a little bit because it is a little overflowed a little bit. It's okay. We'll clean it up. But I want to take the cap off so that way when we drain it, it's not under pressure. So we'll set that down here. And then now we'll go to the other side and let some of the coolant out. So now we got the cap off. Let's go ahead and get this drain off. now we got this off. Coolant actually looks really, really good. There's no, it's like the brightest green I've ever seen. So that's a good sign, letting us know that there's no cruddies in here, because I was actually planning on flushing this, but there's really no reason to flush it. The color is not even changed, not even a little bit. So I think the owner, when I previously bought from, he actually changed the fluid recently, because this is so green. It's actually, I could actually reuse this green. But as I see, I'm actually glad I took this off, because this is some caked on stuff, and that could definitely cause an issue of why this radiator fluid is maybe getting by. It's because all of this buildup could possibly allow a little bit of room for the coolant to seep out. So what we'll do is we'll clean all this off. We'll use a grindy wheel or something, some sandpaper or something, to get all this off, and then we'll reattach it with a brand new clamp. I think that will take care of a lot of this issue here. It is really grimy around this, but it's not grimy in the tube. It's not super grimy in the tube, as you see. You don't see, I mean, there's a little bit of it in there, but we can clean that out too. And then this should be good. So we will get some stuff. We'll get this fluid out the way, because I want to reuse this. This stuff is really good. And then we'll get this cleaned off, and then we'll re-put it with a brand new cap, and then we'll get that all taken care of. All right, guys, so what we're going to do is we're going to get this up out of the way so we don't get any debris flying into it. So we'll just do our best to zip tie it. Just up out of the way. It doesn't have to be super crazy. Just up out of the way like that. All right. So now, take this off here. Clean this area up. See if it'll just come right off. Okay. So after discovering that this was the whole entire issue with it being gunked up, I did not realize it until I took it off, and I'm super glad that I did, because I would have been fighting with this thing a lot longer if I had not taken it off. I was a little bit skeptical in doing it, thinking it was going to be tricky, but actually it was really quite simple taking this off and redoing it. Just got to drain the fluid and clean it. And now I'm really glad that I saw that this was the actual reason why this wasn't working, because I never would have thought of that if the gunk buildup was so bad. So now that we got it nice and cleaned off, we're going to clean the surface of the tube for the radiator, but we're also going to get the brush and get in the backside that I can't see, because it's really, you have to feel it with your finger because you can't see behind there. So you want to make sure you get all of that caked on stuff off, so it's a nice smooth aluminum surface for the tube to mate to. So you definitely have to make sure you get it all nice and crevice, and make sure you trace it with your finger to make sure that you get all of that off. And then once you finally get that all taken care of and get that all nice and good, and making sure that there's no physical cruddiness or leather, as you see there's just some smoke coming off because I'm getting it all off, and it's actually working a lot better. All right, we're good. Nice and cleaned off. That would definitely cause some issues with its sealing, because it's got a lot of crust around it. Got the same thing in this tube here. So we got a little bit, as you see the little white particles in there. We do got a little bit in there, so we're going to do the exact same thing, because we want all of that to be cleaned out. So you want to have a nice good seal on it. That looks a lot better than it did. What do you think? Nice and clean, none of the white particles, no white particles on here. I think we're going to be pretty good with getting this sealed up a lot more better. That would definitely cause a lot of issues of why it won't stay sealed. Okay guys, so we're getting ready to put the clamps on. So I just wanted to show you the difference. So this is the original one that came off of the bike here. And as you see, this one's a little bit bigger, and you could see the difference in size as how much more of a grip footprint it's going to have. And the other cool part is that this is only goes about, you know, so about here, where this one can completely squeeze all the way around. Now, I don't know if this one would be better or this one's fine. I mean, this was originally on it, so I would think it would be okay. But I like this one because it has a better, more clamping force, and you can keep on going with the clamping. So I'm not for sure, you know, this one's better than this one or anything like that. I just like this one because this one's got a better spread of clamping. Is a lot wider than this one. Now, granted, this one would be great because if you had two, you could put two. You could put one at the bottom, you could put one at the top. But this one, once you put this one on, you pretty much don't have any more room to clamp down on. So if I had two of these, I would use just these two. You know, we'd put one down here at the very, very bottom, and then maybe one at the top just for good measure to make sure it has double clamping force. But I think this will work perfectly fine. And with it being nice and clean now, I think it's going to have a better chance at it sealing properly. So just a rule of thumb, I don't think anyone's better. I think they're both great. I mean, the clamp is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. So is this one. But I'm just going to replace it just because I think this will have a better clamping footprint since it's a lot wider and you have a lot more ridges, little cuts out to tighten it more and more. Where this one, you only have just about here and you can't go any further, and it doesn't have a wider footprint. So that's just my 2 cents on that. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and install it. All right. And then we'll go ahead and put it back on. Now the actual piece is down here, so we're going to loosen this up some more to allow it to get around it. So we'll slide this down, and there we go, slide that up. And then now we got this nice little nub. This is actually where the pipe is, and then we're going to go a little bit above that and go clamp right above it. So get it right above it. Good, nice and good spot. That looks pretty good. And then now we're going to go ahead and tighten it down. Yeah, that should be really good. And one of the reasons why I like this is a good idea to do this without the fluid in is that there's no buildup pressure inside as we're doing this, with all the fluid is completely out and enough room to let us do a nice good clamp seal before we put fluid back in. Now doing that will make it nice and good because it's already sealed before the pressure starts building up, instead of us trying to seal it while the pressure's already there, which is going to cause, you know, a little bit of air bubbles that probably pass throughout. So this is just a good idea to go ahead and do it while you don't have it, and then that should take care of that. So I mean, that's pretty sealed. Hopefully we won't have any leaks, but we won't know until we get it filled back up, get it up to temp, and then try it. So now let's go to the other side that was also leaking as well. Hey guys, so we're gonna get this whole entire pipe line off. I don't know if there's any more fluid in it, but I don't want to take precautions because get this off here, it may have some fluid in it, it may drop. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this off. Even though it wasn't leaking here, we just want to take it off to make sure we don't get any fluid over all electronics. So I'm going to take this off, make sure this doesn't have any little crusty areas, and we'll reseal it back up, and then it should be good. But I'm just doing it so that way I can make sure all the fluid's out of here before I take it off this back side, because that was where the problem was back here. But I'm just doing it just so I can make sure we're all good. So we're going to get this off. Got a little bit of crud up here too. We'll get that nice and cleaned off. No crud in the tube. Looks really good, but I'm glad I took that out because there was a little bit of fluid here, probably right here in this area. Because if I took it off the backside, it would definitely leak out. So I'm glad I took that out. But we'll get this cleaned off too, so we get nice, good seal. And then we should be good to go. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get this tube out, because this one's actually the one right here. So we're just gonna get that off so we can get to this clamp. So all right, we may have a little bit of fluid. Hopefully we won't have too much. Let me get a rag. So the rag will take care of some of the excess leaking that we may have. So here we go. Let's see if we can get our hands. Yep, there we go. It's coming off nice and easy, which is good. Hopefully we don't have a whole lot of coming out, but we'll see. Oh yeah, we're good. Nice and good. Awesome. Looks like we got some more crusties, which is the reason why probably it's not sealing properly yet again. So this end was leaking right here, as you see that little green area. It definitely was not sealing right. So we're gonna do the same thing we did on the other side. We're gonna clean it off. Then we should be good to go. So let me go get the brush. We'll get that all cleaned off. All right, guys. So we're gonna start cleaning this crud stuff off. So I'm glad I found this, because if I had not taken off the fairing, I don't think I ever would have found it until it was a little too late. But this is the same issue that was happening on the left-hand side with the caked on build on behind the hose, which was causing it not to seal properly. So I don't know how long it's been leaking like this, but I'm glad that I found it now to take care of it and get it all cleaned up. Just be careful watching with that wire up top. You may want to zip tie it so that way it doesn't get in your way of brushing. So not a big problem though, but just get it out of your way so you don't rip it and cause more issues. But yes, make sure you take your finger all the way around and make sure you get all of that buildup away so that you got a nice, good mated surface, just like on the other side. Get it all nice and clean. This is a little bit more of a tighter spot because it isn't up in the top. So I had to do what I could with the brush, but then I had to break it out with a pad. So this is definitely going to work out, and I'm glad that I did find this. Guys, so we got this nice and clean. It's really nice and smooth. I am really super happy that we did that, and I'm glad that I saw that. It is caked up on both ends, so we definitely need to adjust that with some of those other points, but this is where they're leaking at, so that we're just taking care of the leaking areas that was not sealing properly. Well, it's pretty good on there. There's still some white crudiness that we will get out. So we'll get some of this crud stuff out of these crevices to make sure we're getting a nice good seal. So guys, we're going to go ahead and get these back on. I'm going to go ahead and reuse these same clamps on this one. They're perfectly fine. I really think the reason why it was leaking was because there was some crusty barnacles around here and inside, and on the other ends as well. So I'm definitely going to just reuse these. I think they're perfect. There's nothing wrong with them, and I think the clamping force will be a little better. Now, if it still does leak, I think it might be time for some new hoses. The hoses do look a little bit bad. They're not super squishy. They're not super bad. Just on these tips ends are fine, but usually the metal is always going to stay that way. So it should be just perfectly fine to put this back on. Like I said, if it does continue to leak, or maybe the next year or so, I may have to replace it with some new hoses, but they're not punctured, they're not torn, they're not ripped. They should be perfectly fine. So we're going to go ahead and reinstall this. So just get it right back in this foam. Then we're going to get this in the hole. I'm gonna get this one down here in the hole. All right. So now we can go ahead and reclamp our hoses here. So get this one back on its mark. And get it back in its little crevice part. I think we're good on that one. And then we'll go to this end here and get this one all nice and tidied up as well. So same thing, just get a nice good clamp on it. I think we might go ahead and change these out because these are not over. These are not over. These are already. They're not over torquing. They've hit their end, and that's the difference why I like the other ones, because you clamp them nice and down. They're not going anywhere. So we're actually going to replace these. I think they're good, but they just. I feel like a lot more clamping force would be better. Maybe it doesn't need to have that much clamping force, but I think it'd be better to replace them with some upgraded ones. So we're going to take these off, and then we're going to replace them with some new ones. So now we got the thicker ones ready, so we'll go ahead and reinstall this pipe just like we were doing before. So get it over there so it fits nice and flush up against that. Same thing on this end. Get it in its groove. That's not going anywhere. Neither is this. Easy peasy. So now we should be good. Probably should zip tie that just to get that out the way so it doesn't hit that. That's probably a good idea. But yeah, now it's all nice and good in there. Nice and sealed up. So now we're all back together. We got it back tight on both ends. Now we're going to refill it back up into the tank, and then we'll start it up to get it up to temp. Make sure there's no air bubbles, and then so we're going to put back in what we took out. So ever so gently, I'm just going to pour our fluid back in. All right, we're almost there. Anyway, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and run it, and then it should go down, and we should be able to add some more. So let's go ahead and get the bike started. That's what I wanted. I want to get all the bubbles out. As you see, we still got some bubbling, and it's doing that because there's air in the system. So we'll let that bubble out. Alright, so we're going to let this bubble up, let it get to temp, and then we'll come back when we have to refill some. Alright, so we just turned it off, let it cool. Everything seems to be running pretty good. No bubbles. The bubbles started dissipating. I added a little bit of fluid to it. Then they still started coming out a little bit, and then they started dying off. So I put the cap on and just kind of helped build some pressure because it's just really rotating in there. So... but other than that, it seems like it's pretty good. Everything is really good. There's no leaking here at all. Just some residue from my hands. Probably change the gloves. But yeah, there's no leaks. Everything's nice and tight. Everything's on there. It's not leaking on the other side. I think it's pretty much good. Like I said, the only really way to make sure that it's not leaking is when it cools down. And then we can kind of go from there. And then I will top off the fluid again, take it off and make sure it's nice and topped off. We'll top it off again, then we should be perfectly fine with the fluid. And I think we'll... All right, guys, it's been a couple hours now, so let us see what our results are. Okay, guys, so we're on the left side of the motor. So as you see, this is the motor area that we were having pronoun problems. And as you see, it's completely sealed, No fluid leaking out. Normally I would have a little bit of seepage coming out of it while it's in its cooling down period. Nothing. Everything is nice and good. We still got some coolant in here. Actually, we have to fill up some coolant, but that's no big deal. But yeah, it is nice and good. So let's check the other side. And as you see, this was actually pretty good. This one wasn't leaking anyway, but just wanted to show you that it's not leaking. And over here, it's not leaking at all. There's no seepage whatsoever. It is actually good. I can take my hand, go across it. I get no fluid. No fluid. It's bone dry. And this gully is dry. As you see right there, it's completely dry. No issues whatsoever, guys. I think we got ourselves a win. So guys, that's pretty much it. It's a W. We got a W. It looks really good. I'm super happy with getting that taken care of. That was really bothering me a little bit. It wasn't doing nothing with the bike. The bike was running perfectly fine. It wasn't overheating or anything. It just had some seepage, and it was all due to that a lot of that caked on radiator stuff when you took the tube off. And I'm glad I took that off, because if I didn't take that off and just kept thinking that it was just a clamp, I probably still would have had that issue, because even though I had the clamp on there, it was still seeping through. But now that I took it off, cleaned it nice and good on the tube and on the actual hose, it's actually sealing way more better. But guys, that is it. I really do appreciate all you guys' love and support. It took me a while getting back on the beat of YouTube after coming back. Just had like a creator's block, and it's freezing cold outside. It's like 20 degrees right now. So that makes it very difficult to do projects in the garage right now because it's cold. But since the sun's out beaming down, it's kind of warming it up a little bit. But it is still cold in here. Not as cold as it is outside, but it is still cold. So it makes it very difficult to do projects outside when it's that temperature. It makes it very difficult and hard to get out there because I have to bundle up. I'm in 20-degree weather trying to fix stuff. So I only will do it right now just because I needed it done. I wanted this done because I wanted to get it out the way and have it ready for riding season. So the rest of the vehicles will be the same way. I only will do it if I need to do it. Right now when it gets a little warmer, it's a little different because we have a lot more better weather. Then we have a lot more longer days, and then activities can be a lot more creative in doing things. So looking forward to that. So guys, this looks good. I just gotta put all the fairings and stuff back on, but that was the main thing of this project today, was just to take care of the leaks, and now we are good to go. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate all the love and support. Please let me know in the comments if you guys like this. Please give me a like and give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you guys like this bike and you like seeing more of this, and you like my channel and everything that goes along with it. But guys, you have a good and blessed day, and I'm going to see you on the next fix. Until then, peace.